as soon as I said no, I felt kind of like I got, punched in the stomach a little bit. I thought, oh, that I'm choosing to just end the adventure right there.
Hello and welcome to Kept in Her Heart, where we talk about all things faith-related. I'm your host, Jenny Fuchs. Today, Nick joins us to talk about the power of yes. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell me about your experience with the power of yes and kind of how this started.
Well, it was probably about 8 years ago. I was going through some, I wouldn't say turmoil necessarily at work, but just some uncertainty around the partnership I was involved in, and had a lot of life changes going on. Some very positive, and some so positive that they kind of scared me in terms of whether I should say yes to taking that opportunity or not. Yeah. And one of the coaches that I had engaged at that time, I approached him after a personal development class I was in, and I said, I'm struggling with this decision. Could you help give me some context and guidance around this? And he said, I'll make it easy for you. And I said, great. And then he walked me through this example that I'd like to share with you.
Yeah.
So I'd start with a simple. Your only job in this exercise, Jenny, is to say yes.
Okay, I need to say yes.
You have to say yes to every question I ask you.
Okay, got it.
All right. Would you like to play a game with me?
Yes.
Okay. Can the game be a story?
Yes.
Okay. Can the story be about a medieval castle?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a moat around the castle?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a drawbridge that extends across the moat?
Yes.
All right. And are there human-eating alligators in the moat?
Yes.
Right. All right. And is there a beautiful princess in the tower castle?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a fire-breathing dragon protecting the tower?
Yes.
All right. And then is there a knight in shining armor coming to save her?
Yes.
And is he riding a white horse?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now we're going to play the same game, but your only job is to say no.
Okay.
Okay. Jenny, would you like to play a game with me?
No.
There you go. The adventure ends right there.
Right.
But you have the ability to say no if you don't want to. So my friend Tim walked me through that example. As soon as I said no, I felt kind of like I got, punched in the stomach a little bit. I thought, oh, that I'm choosing to just end the adventure right there. And then that's when I made my mind up to continue the adventure. And that's been 8 years of personal growth, professional growth, some painful, all refining for sure. It's all been pruning and refining, but so it still goes on today. Every day I get to say yes. Sometimes I am tempted to say no, but I step forward, and then sometimes I step backwards. So.
Yeah. So can you give us some examples like you're talking about? So what has saying yes to God and to his call look like for you over the last 8 years?
Strangely enough, it began with Potsdam Terrace, a visit to Potsdam Terrace, where I decided to go with the men's group that I was not engaged with. We were going to go out there in February, and I thought, this looks like my kind of place. So I went on a silent retreat for 2 days, and had some incredible experiences there that I never would have expected. And then that led me into further engagement with the men's group at church, and have done 3 years of Exodus 90. So that's, for those that are out there that have heard of it, the number one thing they say is, oh, that's the thing where you do cold showers. I said, yes, that's part of it, but it's, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, and got a lot of clarity about where the Lord wanted me through Exodus 90 almost 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that led me to dividing off from some partners that I had been in business with for 13 years, because I felt like the Lord was pulling me the direction he wanted me, and it wasn't the direction that included them. So we had to negotiate a breakup essentially from a business standpoint. Okay. But I said yes to that. My heart was pounding, lips was sweating a little bit, but my former partner asked me, is this resolvable? And I prayed in that moment to the Holy Spirit. I said, yes or no? And he said, no. And so I said, no, it's not something we can rectify. Okay. And that began a whole process of opening my own branch, a financial services branch, just meet another person. And now 2 years later, we have 7 people. And I can only attribute that growth to, staying in God's will and saying yes to the next part of the adventure. And so we have a new office build out, 7 people, and it's all Christ focused, financial planning, generosity focused, and helping clients reach their life of most significance. So I think because we're in alignment with God's will, that continues to grow, and we get opportunities to say yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you said that there's maybe some temptations to say no. Have you said no, and have you seen I should have said yes to that opportunity?
if anything, I think I say yes to things that maybe I should have said no to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tend to take on more sometimes, because I feel like if I take on more responsibility that seems like an alignment with my purpose and my mission, then I'll continue to walk that path. But I would say, no, I've said yes to a couple things that I kind of think, oh, I don't think that one was necessarily right. So I'm still working on the balance between the two.
Yeah.
But I do have opportunities that are coming up right now that scare me just enough where I'm tempted to say, maybe the timing's not right or the economy's not right for me to do this. And then I fail to remember lessons in the past where it didn't make sense. I had the same opportunity 4 years ago. It didn't make any sense, but I said yes because I felt like it was right.
Yeah.
And now the opportunity comes up, but it's about 3 times larger than the previous one, and I go, ooh, I don't know, this is, the timing doesn't seem right, the economy doesn't seem right, it's this, it's that. And in reality, I think this is what I wanted 3 years ago, and now it's here.
Right.
Am I going to say yes?
Right, and that kind of that discernment. I know that in my life, there was a time 17 years ago, I guess it would be, where I was working full-time and my husband was starting, a video business, which was another kind of a scary thing, like a yes that we weren't sure about, but we felt it. But in prayer, in adoration in particular, I felt very specifically one evening that God said, I want you to quit your job. And I just went, ooh, okay, yes, let's go. And it didn't make any financial sense. I was making twice as much. We had a new house, we had a new kid. Financially, it didn't make any sense. But I said yes, and it was beautiful. It was exactly the trajectory God wanted us on. And He arranged it, the business we had on the side, it grew. We never missed a payment, we never missed a bill, and life worked out just the way God wanted it to. He put us where He wanted us to make the biggest impact. And even starting this channel, this was something that we wouldn't have necessarily said, yeah, I want to do this. But it was so clear that God was saying, I want you to step out here. And we said yes, and it's really growing and it's really exciting and people are responding. So yeah, I really agree that power of saying yes is so impactful.
What I think is, human beings, we get nervous about making a mistake. I get nervous about making a mistake. I think I have a whiteboard in my office that says it's progress over perfection, right? Like you don't have to be perfect, you just have to make steps going forward. And something I've learned in the last few years is that God also makes up for the moth-eaten years, right? Like all the times before I had really come to, I had been raised in the church, but didn't have that personal relationship yet. I kind of struggled with my Catholicism for a number of years. And then I realized, okay, I'm all in, like, Lord, you can use me for whatever you want, which is a very dangerous prayer, by the way, because then He's going to scare you probably, or He'd scared me anyway.
But it's good.
But it's good, right? It's good scary. And then all the years that I didn't do the things that He wanted me to do, He somehow has the ability, right, in Him being God, to make up for all that.
Yeah.
And whether it's things accelerate or things just work out for some reason the way they do, and it's like, oh wow, it's a pretty amazing journey. So yeah, I plan on continuing to say yes to the opportunities that come up, and they are going to be scary and sometimes a little nerve-wracking, but yeah, comfort is, I think, a killer of dreams, right? So if you sit back and be too comfortable, I
think it was Pope Benedict who said, this world will offer you comfort, but you're not made for comfort, you're made for greatness.
Right.
And so we got to just step out in that faith and trust and let God show His greatness through us, just use us as His instruments to bring about the good that He wants to bring, and amazing things happen.
Well, and there's the anxiety that goes with answering His questions, right, or answering His requests of us. But then there's peace that immediately follows.
Yes.
That can't be explained.
Yes, a peace and a joy and a growth, personally or professionally, that is clearly just His hand.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing. How have you guys seen God working in your life, and how have you been called to step out in faith and to trust Him? I'd love to hear about it in the comments, and I'd love to hear about your yes stories. So thanks for watching.